Coming to our fourth self-care check-in, and this check-in is for two reasons. One reason is selfish, Mary. It's because I want to see your face. This is my way of seeing people during this executive order to stay home. I get to see your smiling faces, and it brings me so much joy. I'm so thankful for technology. That's my gratitude tip. Always try to find something to be thankful for, and I'm so thankful to see every one of you. Amy, that smile is outstanding. It is, really. Keep smiling. And number two, I'm as the health promotion consultant for MESSA, not only was I concerned about my loved ones and friends and colleagues, I was concerned about our MESSA members. This happened so quick, and I just felt like I wanted to do something with our team at MESSA to make sure you guys were okay through this. I'm always going out during the school year talking about, giving tips about how to stay resilient, how to manage stress, how to master stress. And I always would tell people when I was talking, this stuff is easy when times are good. And I guess I was having a, what do they call it? A premonition. I was intuitive about it. I would tell them all the time, this stuff is easy. It's easy to wake up and be grateful when everything is great. You know, it's easy to do all that kind of stuff when life is good. It's when life is rough that you really need to engage in these practices. I would tell them every time, remember this. When you don't feel like getting up out of bed, that's when you need to think of those things you're grateful for. When it seems like there's nothing to be thankful for, that's when you got to pull out a list from last night and see what you wrote down that you were thankful for yesterday and look at that and reminisce on that. So now is the time to pull those tips out and start engaging those practices. And I wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to see if it was a way I could gather MESSA members in one space and we could remind each other about all those things we need to be doing now through this situation. We're concerned about you during this situation. We want you to make it through healthy experience, even a greater level of wellness, and we want to make sure you're enjoying yourself after we get out of this, because this will end, this too shall pass, and we'll make it through. I am excited today to bring to you a lady I met. I go to conferences to update my knowledge and skills on wellness, to stay abreast of what is going on in the wellness industry and all the best practices. I go to a conference called a Health Promotion Conference, and I do certifications and I do sessions. I met a lady named Heidi Hanna. She is the founder of the American Institute of Stress, and I still follow Heidi. I was on a webinar with her last year, and I was able to listen to a session on ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and that's where I met Deb, or I was able to hear some of the information she was able to share, and I was intrigued by her, and I decided I wanted to get her back for this particular self-care series, and she had the time. And I'm gonna let Deb tell you about herself, and she's going to bring some information about mindfulness and resilience. Stay on after we're done. I want to remind you of some of the MESSA Wellness benefits before you go, and also after this is over, check your email. I'm going to send a survey out, and I just want to get your feedback on these self-care series and see how you feel about them, and find out what you want to do in the future. Are there any things that MESSA Wellness can provide you that would be helpful? Okay, I need to bring some good ideas to a planning table. So this is your opportunity to get a seat at the table, okay? Because there's people on here that are listening too. So if you have some ideas that you can help MESSA with, some creative things or some things you think, man, if MESSA offered this, this would be great. I'm going to send out a survey, and I want you to put it on that survey and share it with me, okay? That'll come after this self-care series. Also, after this session, you'll get an email of the recording, okay? And you'll get a link to sign up for the next one next week, okay? I know I said a lot. I may have jumbled a bit, but I'm going to bring Deb on, wasting no more time. Thank you, Deb. Go ahead and lock in.
Well, hello, everybody. I see some sweet smiling kid faces on there. Nice to see you all. So as Rhonda said, we met through Heidi Hanna, and I am a certified stress mastery educator through one of Heidi's programs, and do a whole lot of other things. But I came to this specialty in nursing because in 2009, I fell down a flight of stairs, and it's like what I did on my summer vacation. And I truly did not know how to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. I was running a 50-bed nursing home in Muskegon, Michigan, and my life was really spinning out of control. I didn't do any self-care practices. I'd heard about them, but had no idea. And I actually had a massage therapist to do a session with me that was absolutely transformational. And I was so intrigued that I made it a specialty. So in nursing, every 2 years, you have to get so many CEU credits, and that's where all these things came from. So with that, I'll start my program today, and Rhonda and one of the other gals are going to be monitoring chat, so feel free to ask questions. I want this to be an experiential, so that when you leave this hour today, or whatever time we have together, you will feel differently and less stressed than when you came here. So these are my goals today. I'm going to share 3 tools that help you calm your nervous system, and we'll talk about the nervous system and the role in the stress reaction or stress response, and why that's so important. I'll talk to you about the concept of energy drains, and then we'll look at why it's so important to shift your body to a space that it can heal, because it is truly where and how we can create a calmer, more peace-filled life. So here we go. So one of the things that Heidi talks about a lot is the old definition of stress versus the new definition of stress. So this is the old definition. If you've taken any psychology classes, you probably learned about Hans Seeley. He was the person who really coined the phrase stress response. And in his mind, the definition was a non-specific response of the body to something we perceive as a threat. But what we've come to know through all the stress science is it's more based on the relationship that we have with the circumstances in our lives, and what happens to us when the demands of life exceed our capacity to manage. So we've all been in that space where things are going great and we're having a wonderful day, and little things happen to sort of get us off base. And then all of a sudden, one tiny little thing happens, and it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. No longer are we responding, but we're reacting. We're angry, we're lashing out, and we're not able to control ourselves. So here's why. Our stress response is governed by our nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system contains 2 branches, the sympathetic nervous system, or I like to think of that as the gas pedal. It's the part of the nervous system that gives us the boost of adrenaline and then kicks off cortisol when that adrenaline isn't enough. And then there's the parasympathetic, or the brakes. So that's the thing that helps us downshift and relax. And in a perfect world, those 2 parts of our nervous system work like a brake and a gas pedal, and they give our body a really smooth ride. But what happens when stressors continually drive us off of our base is that we put more emphasis on that gas pedal. We have lots of adrenaline flowing through our body. And when that doesn't shut off, we have cortisol. We've all heard about the effects of that, right? And we don't get ourselves to the point that our parasympathetic nervous system can help us downshift. So it's like we put so much emphasis on that gas that when we do put on the brakes give us a jerky ride. We speed up on the gas, and then we slam on the brakes. We speed up on the gas, we slam on the brakes. So that is really not great for our system, because that causes a lot of wear and tear on our body. So the thing that I'm talking about today is mindfulness, and how that helps to downshift the nervous system and helps us to have a smoother, more regulated response. So I don't know how many of you have heard about mindfulness. It's interesting because I think I first heard about it like in the early 2000s from Oprah. She was big on what mindfulness is, but still when I go around and give talks, people haven't heard of it yet. So for those of you who haven't, mindfulness is all about staying in the present moment. So paying attention and not worrying about the stuff we can't change, the stuff that happened in the past, or spending too much time worrying about what's in the future, but it's about being in the moment, right here, right now. And my favorite way to describe it is what is what is. So it's practicing the art of observation and curiosity and looking at a situation or whatever is going on in your life, in your body, and saying, what can that teach me? What can I learn from this right here and right now that can help me? So here are the benefits. There are tons and tons of studies that have been done, peer-reviewed studies about the benefits of mindfulness. But what it does in our mind's eye is shift us from that preoccupation of all the little things that are wrong to a much larger perspective. And it calms and soothes our nervous system by creating a choice point. And I'll talk more about choice points in a minute. But here's the biggest thing. It allows us that time to shift from that automated reaction, what's happening in our nervous system, to creating that choice point to have the time to respond. So how many times have you, in the course of your day, yelled at somebody, got angry at somebody, maybe it's your child or a student, or that last thing that happened just was the straw that broke the camel's back, and you've lashed out in a way that you didn't mean to. That's your nervous system driving that. And that's why it's so important to have a practice, especially right now, that helps us shift from that place of being reactive and allows a response. So the whole idea with mindfulness overall is that it promotes that parasympathetic nervous system response, which is all about how we relax. So Rhonda said, it's easy to do practices when times are tough, when times are good, but now is more important than ever. And I would say that the next thing after COVID is going to come. No matter how prepared we are, stuff happens, right? Life happens. People get sick, people lose jobs, life changes. There are always things that we have to navigate. And resilience is really the key to being able to recover from the roller coaster of life. And that you should consider having a practice all the time, because when you are already integrating these practices into your life, it allows you to recover so much more quickly, less hard on your body. And stress, unchecked, we know causes all kinds of problems in our health, mental health, physical health, emotional health. And we really need to structure our day in an intentional way that we work these recharge practices in. So I have a tool that I created, and Rhonda will send this out with the recording, and I call it a mindfulness meter. So when we're mindful and we're looking at how we are in the present moment, we're aware, we're calm, we're focused, we're relaxed. Our systems are all working in sync. When we're not mindful or aware of what's happening in our life, we get to the place where we are mindful, F-U-L-L, and we get distracted, lost in thought, anxious, sometimes worried, overwhelmed. We know all those things that happen when we're too stressed. So somewhere in there, the key is to figure out what is going on in your own body so that you can shift and reset your nervous system. So I just did this on a simple 0 to 10 scale. So 0 to 3, we're good. 4, 5, and 6, we're ramping up. It's that caution point where we need to be choosing a tool to shift. And when we get to 7, 8, 9, and 10, our brain is in the space that this automated nervous system response is happening. And it's so much harder to get ourselves back to our baseline. So the idea is to shift and reset your nervous system before you get to the 7, 8, 9, and 10 so that you can stay in control. You do have control over this, but it takes practice. So just curious about where you were today before you came on. Were you in the green, the yellow, or the red? So I want you to think about that a moment and just write that down to yourself, or you can share it in the chat box, and our monitors will kind of check that, because we're about to learn some things that are going to calm your nervous system so that when you leave today, hopefully you're in a better space and you'll take these tools with you so that you can integrate them in your life. So let's learn the basic of mindfulness, and that's mindful breathing. So just get yourself situated in your seat. We're all sitting in front of our computer, or maybe we're laying in front of our computer. Just start to focus on your breath coming in through your nose, filling up your belly, and letting it out. So I'll guide you through. Breathing in through your nose, filling up your belly, letting that air flow out, just nice and peaceful and easy. And for this exercise, we're just going to focus on how that feels with that air moving in your nose, down to your belly, and back out. Find your own natural rhythm. And just notice what you notice. Be curious about that breath. Where does it go? Where does it flow? If your mind starts to wander, just bring it back to the breath. Focusing on the coolness of what you feel around your nose as that air enters, and the warmth of that breath as you exhale and it comes out your mouth. Now that you have your rhythm, slow that down a little bit and breathe a little more deeply. Feeling that air expanding in your lungs, flowing all the way down to your belly. Again, noticing what you notice, being curious, non-judgmental. So how does that feel? Very simple. Breath. It's your breath. You don't need any tools except for to be working that and scheduling that in your day. You can do it anywhere, any place, anytime. And it is the key to shifting and getting that nervous system to turn off. So when you breathe, your brain knows that you're safe, stops that alarm system from going, and shifts you into that parasympathetic state. Easiest way to downshift ever. So I'll pause here just a minute and see if there are any questions from this first section at all. I don't know who's monitoring, but
I'll check the chat box for Yeah. And you know, that breathing is a big thing, because most often, even during good stress, when we're in our zone, often we're not breathing. Or in delightful anticipation, we don't breathe. But I know during the day when I'm in my zone and I'm working on the project, I'm barely breathing. So it's a good thing to be intentional about and stopping and taking some breaths like you just walked us through. I do have a question here that says, do you have a book?
Oh, not yet, but I do have some recordings that are on my website. You can go to debtimmerman.com, and there's some short little things on there to help you. The question I get asked most often is, if I'm new to this, where do I find things that can help me get started? So when I started, it was a reason I started doing what I'm doing, because nobody was teaching it back then. YouTube, Headspace, Calm, there are little apps. And actually, Headspace has headspace.com/Michigan. There were 4 that were, the governor got situated for us so that you can access, and they're free. But going on YouTube and finding those little things, and then you can always follow my Facebook page, and I'll put that up. I do post stuff there too.
Okay, and there's a question. How long should the breath be?
So here's the thing. It's more important for you to just breathe and to not overanalyze how long. So when I first started my breath work, it was exactly like Rhonda said. I couldn't take a big deep breath because I didn't have the lung capacity. So when I'm teaching this, I always ask you please to start at your own comfort. And then as you build up that capacity, you can stretch it out. The brain needs as little as 30 seconds of breathing to reset it, but you can build more capacity the longer you do it. So a good rule of thumb is 3 5-minute breaks a day, if you can work that in. And if you can't, you should just start somewhere and just do it and work it in when you can. So once you notice that you're gaining back time, it's so much easier to stick with these practices. I mean, sounds like a lot for 15 minutes, but I just use this little tiny timer on my phone, and I just set it for 2 minutes, and that was it. 2 minutes. Okay, we'll move on. So a lot of Heidi Hanna's work is about helping people understand their relationship with stress and the components of it, and why it no longer works to just manage stress. We have to master stress. So this is how we react and why we react. It's based on 3 things. First, it's the stress load. So how we carry our internal and external stressors. So any given day, my ability to carry my load is different based on how well I eat, how well I move and exercise, and how well I've downshifted the day before. So sleep has a lot to do. And I think post-COVID, we've had a lot of adjustments that we've had to make, right? So some of our jobs have changed. We've had to go do stuff on the computer. Maybe we weren't really comfortable with it. We've had to learn how to work at home. Maybe we're working in a home where our spouse is also working at home, like me, and he's noisy today. So any given day, my ability to manage my stress load depends on all of those different factors. And in addition to that, it depends on what set of glasses I'm wearing that day. So my stress lens, how I perceive that stressor, and what my capacity is to manage. And a lot of that is based on early life experiences. Some of it's based on genetics. So there's a lot of different things that go into how our stress lens is shaped and how it's formed. And then our stress signature, where the signs and symptoms are, what shows up in our body. How does stress affect us on any given day? And most of us are not even in tune with that until it's too late. And that was where I was when I was a manager, keeping all of the plates spinning and wondering how I was going to function with all these things, working on my stuff at home with my kids. there was a lot going on. And some days I had a lot of capacity and other days I didn't have any. And the first step is to figure out how that stress is showing up in your body. Are you having headaches and GI issues and neck tension and all those physical things that happen, but also trouble relaxing and feeling overwhelmed and maybe not feeling like you're enough. You're not equipped enough to do your job. Worrying about what other people are going to think, avoiding them. All of those things, and it's different for everybody. There could be things that you're experiencing that are not even on this list. So tuning in, figuring out how is it affecting you and your body specifically. So this is how it works. The bigger the stress load, the more energy draining from our internal battery, and the more our stress warning signs go up. So it's all about balance. And when we can see and be more aware and notice where those things are draining our energy and shift out of that, we have more battery capacity at the end of the day. And the next day I'm in a much better space to handle whatever comes my way. So this is also based on Heidi's work, and I call it the Daily Vitality Review. So how do you feel in the morning? Where are you on that mindfulness meter when you wake up? Are you starting with a full battery, and are you in a good spot in the 0 to 3 space? Or are you still dealing with yesterday's problems and you're in the 7, 8, and 9, and 10, and now you're going to add more to it? So where are you? And then where are you at mid-morning, midday, the afternoon, and the evening? It's really paying attention to and being intentional about structuring your day, not only to plan your day, but to check in with your body and see where you're at so that you know when you need to do a recharge. The latest research says that we should recharge 5 times a day. In the morning before we start our day, at night before we go to bed, and when we eat, move, sleep, do all our eat, move, and check in with go to the bathroom even during the day, so that we're not getting to the end of the day noticing that our battery is totally drained, but we're checking in throughout the day so that we can recharge doing that simple breathing or another tool or technique. So there are lots of evidence-based tools to help with recharge. Today's piece just happens to be about mindfulness, but healthy eating, walking, getting outdoors, getting exercise, spending time in nature, being with a pet, and those are even more fun if you add mindfulness to them. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. This is a graphic I created for mindful senses. So mindful senses is just so simple. It's 1 thing that you touch, 2 things that you see, 3 things that you smell, 4 things that you taste, 5 things that you hear. So when I am out taking a walk, I'm thinking about how to engage my senses in what's going on around me so I can appreciate the beauty. Like if I look out my window right now, I see a beautiful plum tree in bloom. So I'm thinking about if I touched that, how would that feel? How would it smell? What do I see? All of those things engage the brain. So here's the thing about this mindful senses tool. You don't have to do them in any order. If you did 1 thing that you saw, 2 things that you smelled, 3 things that you tasted, doesn't matter. This is just a tool to remind you that you can use your senses to bring yourself back to the present moment at any time of the day. And that's even a tool that you can use at your desk. So how many of you use aromatherapy or have a candle going now that you're working in your home office? Even taking that 1 minute out to check in with your body. How am I feeling? Where am I on that scale? And could I be using this technique to bring myself back to where I am presently? And when you add breathing to it, it's even more powerful. So this isn't one that we're going to do today here in the workshop, but it's something that you can take home and do anytime, anywhere. You can even do it when you're driving in traffic. So the next one I'm going to teach you is called the brief body scan. I don't know how many of you have done a body scan before, but that comes from the work of John Kabat-Zinn. And there is a huge center for mindfulness education at the University of Massachusetts. And when I was learning this, it was an hour where you actually focused on each of your toes and each of your feet and scanned your body all the way from the tip of your toes to the top of your head. And it's a great thing to have when you're doing breakout sessions. But I'm going to do a really short one here today, about 3 minutes, to just show you how you can use this tool to check in with your body, and allows you to kind of figure out where things are camping out, notice what you notice, and get yourself reset. So get yourself comfy in your chair and just begin to pay attention to your breath and to use your senses to notice the environment around you. Just notice the sensations where your body's touching the area of the chair or whatever surface you're laying on or sitting on. What sounds are present in the room. And let my voice become your voice as I guide you to awareness around your body. So as you focus on your breath, just bring your awareness to the sensations around your nose. And now your mouth and your jaw. And now your ears. Your forehead. Your scalp. The back of your neck. Your shoulders. Your arms. Just notice the natural heaviness or lightness in your arms and hands. And now the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Just noticing how that breath feels in your chest as it comes in and goes out. And now your back and your belly. And your hips. And now your feet and your legs. Again, just noticing the heaviness or lightness. And your feet. So what we've done is scanned our body to notice energy flowing in and out, powered by our breath. And now as you breathe in, I want you to imagine that that breath is fueling every cell in your body. That you're radiant, vibrant, and have a fully recharged battery from which to navigate your day. And now one huge breath in all the way to your toes. And when you exhale, let it out with a big sigh. And let your shoulders just fall away from your ears. So now thinking back to where you were when you came in to this space, and I asked you to rate yourself as either green, yellow, or red. Are you still in the same space that you were? We've only done a few short little things. So Rhonda, anything else in the chat? I see lots of comments flashing, but.
Yeah, there was one interesting question. This was with the breathing. They said with the breathing, it brought out an emotional response.
Sometimes it will. So there's lots of reasons for that. So when I first learned to breathe, I would get teary-eyed. My body was not used to going to that space. And emotions are good, and it's okay to feel them. And sometimes our body just needs to get to that space where it's relaxed enough for those emotions to bubble up. Does that make sense? We are so closed and so tight that it can't come. And here's the thing about mindfulness that's awesome. So many practices tell us not to feel our emotions, that they're not good, but our emotions are good. They're part of who we are and how we process. And it's just because we're having a sad emotion, or an emotion is what we sometimes hear labeled as negative, doesn't mean it's bad. It's telling us something. It's our way of responding. And it's giving us information that we can use to shift and look at what's going on, and what do I need to do to move forward, and what is it, why am I reacting today when maybe I didn't react yesterday? What can I learn from that?
Yes, great, thank you. Yeah, I'd have to add to that. I know for me, and I think most of us who are at work or taking care of kids and have responsibilities, we are closing that side of us. That emotional side is turned off, it's not allowed right now. So when you take the time to breathe and focus and be mindful, you're allowing those emotions that you held in all day or all week or all year, you're allowing them to come out. So great question, great response.
And if you don't want to be in that space, like if you are angry, what would be a more beneficial emotion to you? And could you add that, breathing that in and out as a way to shift? You can. There's lots of research about that too. So I'm a heart math practitioner, and that's largely the work of heart math, is using those emotions to shift from that depleting space to a renewing space. And the things that we use are breathing in and out: ease, joy, compassion, kindness, gratitude. Aren't those the things that we all want more of in our world and we hope to bring? Any other questions, Rhonda?
Lots of great comments. A lot of us in this space are feeling better. A lot of feeling better. So it's working for us. Excellent, excellent session. I here that says this is probably one of the best sessions we've had.
Good. So here's the key to resilience, guys: calming the nervous system. That's usually left to the end. It's the last thing we do. So we don't reset until we get home and maybe take a shower or go to sleep, right? And some of us have a hard time falling asleep because our nervous system is still on. Think about that parasympathetic and that adrenaline going. If it's been going all day, if you haven't done something to help it shift, it's not going to shift by itself. You have to take action. Okay? So one of these practices, get out, do the mindfulness as a walk, or even mindfully eating is helpful. The second thing, reducing those energy drains. So looking at your day and from the morning to the night, what are those things that are pushing you over the edge? Is it because of your inability to carry it that day? You're just too stressed out? You need to shift? Is it how you're looking at things? Or is it that you've waited too long and you haven't taken notice of how that's showing up in your body? So now it's crashing down on you. And then when we activate the parasympathetic part of our nervous system, that is our body's rest and digest space. And it is where we activate our natural ability to heal. Lots of work surrounding that. We come to earth perfect and with all the tools that we have, and we just get too busy and too crazy and we don't connect to them. And then remembering that all of the things that happen to you are choice points. Using that for information, using the tools to prepare, get yourself ready for the day. I love doing mindfulness in the morning and at night before I go to bed. Have a morning practice where I take time every day to get myself ready, and then using that information throughout the day to shift when you need to reset, taking a breath break. Again, when you eat, move, go to the bathroom, or when you notice before certain times of your day that you're struggling, those are the things that will help you sustain and be able to weather all of the things that will come your way. So that's all I have. Any other questions? I mean, this could go on for a long time because there's lots of information. We just kind of glossed the surface today.
I don't see any other questions, just some comments. Thank you so much.
If you want to find out more, you can find me here. Thank you so very much for allowing me to present today.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you for joining our family, our MESSA family. We appreciate this information, and we've heard it before, but to keep hearing it and hearing your version of it is very helpful. That was a great meditation. Thank you, people. Thank you. We will have the Mindful Meter. Is that what it's called, Deb?
Yep.
We'll be sending that out to everyone with a link to the recording so you can revisit this information. It's good to always revisit and remind ourselves of this information. You can find Deb on Facebook, LinkedIn, and I believe you have a website out there as well, right?
I do. It's debtimmerman.com.
Great. For our MESSA members, remember, go like us out on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram so we can keep you updated on the latest MESSA news and wellness information, all the best practices out there. You can also follow us on Twitter. Also, remember, we don't want you stressed out and frustrated. If you need to contact our member service center, you can do it via chat now, you as well as your dependents. Log on to our website. You can log in to your My MESSA and talk to one of our member service people if you have questions about your benefit. Go to our website if you have questions about COVID-19 benefits. Yes, we are on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, post a picture of you in mindfulness and tag us, okay? And we hope to bring Deb back. Listen, you guys, you know we do an annual worksite wellness conference. I was aiming for September. I still am, but I think my planning process will be a little different. I'm looking at doing a virtual conference. Would love to get your feedback on that, on if you would attend and what kind of things you're looking to hear about wellness, and you'll get more information about that. Also, it would be remiss to me if I didn't remind you of your MESSA Wellness benefits, especially during a time like this. We have nurses that are available to coach our members that are challenged with heart disease disease, hypertension, diabetes type 1, type 2, and asthma. That includes your dependents. Our nurses will work with you telephonically to help you reach those goals that'll help you manage those conditions. And during a time like this, it's difficult sometimes and you need some help, and we want to be there to help you out. So do not forget about our disease-specific case management programs. If you have questions, let us know. You can contact me at healthy@mesa.org, and we'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same place. You'll get a link. We'll be talking about mindful movement, and you're invited to come join us in the space. We'll have Jeb Stewart Johnson, who actually lives in Brooklyn, New York. He's my coach, and he is in lockdown in New York, but he is staying fit and mindful, and he's going to come to our space and talk to us about his experience and how he's able to stay active during this this difficult time. Any questions? Thank you. I see your faces. Any more comments? I feel relaxed. I feel calm. So listen, take this calmness you feel back with you to your workspace and maintain it. Don't forget to breathe. Don't forget your 5 senses and to focus. Something to smell, something to hear. Is that what I'm hearing, Deb? Something to taste. You know, I love lavender and lemongrass combined. That is my relaxation scent of choice, and I keep it around the house. So that is what I'm going to do later today, sniff on some lavender. Thank you, guys.
Bye, thank you.